Hello there, my name is Evelyn McLaren and I am a lecturer here at the University of Glasgow and I am the Deputy Director of Initial Teacher Education and I'm delighted to welcome you to this live session today. I'm joined by some of our current students and today they're going to talk to you about their experience and answer some questions for you today. So if there's anything that you want to ask the panel about that we haven't covered, you can put your questions into the chat and any relevant things that you want to know about, we'll be able to answer them for you. And we'll pop some links in there as we go as well today, just to support you. So you're very welcome. And what I'd like to do now is introduce you to our panel. Great. Hello, panel. Welcome. So what I will do today, first thing to start, is I will let you introduce yourself. So Charlotte, can you tell me who you are and introduce yourself in terms of your level of study and what year you're in? So we'll let you go first, Charlotte. If you can unmute, that'd be great. Okay, we'll pop to Jasmine. Jasmine, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name's Jasmine and I'm a 5th year student on the Education with Primary Teaching Qualification course at the University of Glasgow.
Great, thank you. Madeline, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Madeline and I'm in 4th year on the undergraduate course for primary teaching at the University of Glasgow.
Great. Manuel, do you want to introduce yourself?
So hi everyone, I'm Manuel Reyes. I'm a 2nd year student at Glasgow University who's also studying education with primary teaching.
Great, super. Charlotte, can you hear us now? Perfect. On you go then, Charlotte.
My name's Charlotte. I'm on the MEdUC course as well and I'm in 5th year.
Fabulous, that's great. Thank you. So welcome to have you all and your wealth of experience to share with the people who've joined us today. So the first thing I'd like to kind of explore with you is why did you choose the University of Glasgow for your teaching degree? So we'll maybe start with you then, Charlotte. We'll go with you first this time.
Yeah, so I chose it because I actually knew people who had been on the course previously. So they had told me about their positive experiences and they really enjoyed the course. So that's part of the reason I chose it. And the other reason was because it's an integrated master's. So I just thought that would give me a step up in my career, give me something that maybe other people wouldn't have going into the job.
Great, thank you, Charlotte. Yeah, because there's a difference between what we do here at the University of Glasgow and what other institutions across Scotland offer, that we're the only university that offer an integrated master's option rather than just an honours degree option where you can graduate at the end of 4th year. Within our option, you can continue into 5th year and exit with a master's qualification. So that's really interesting that was one of the things that kind of inspired you to choose Glasgow. Manuel, why did you choose Glasgow?
So I'm like similar to Charlotte. So I've had some friends who had great positive experience in Glasgow University. But for me, I did a course in college, which is a access to humanities, which helps students who have been out of touch from high school and have just started working. And it allows them to get back into that educational kind of environment. And that program just leads you straight to University of Glasgow.
Great. Again, so a slightly different pathway and not necessarily having to come directly from school into an undergraduate option for study, but being able to come to college and come through a variety of routes. So that's really interesting. Again, similar to Charlotte, that you had people that you knew that had a positive experience with us, but also coming through a slightly different pathway. That's really interesting. Thank you. Jasmine, do you want to share why you chose Glasgow?
For me, one of the reasons why I chose Glasgow was because of the Catholic teacher formation classes that are embedded within the course, because that's a sector of the education sector I'm interested in going in. So the fact that it's embedded in your classes rather than doing it on a separate thing really appealed to me as part of the course. I also loved the different opportunities that the wider university offered as well, like the different clubs and societies. So those are the two main reasons why I chose Glasgow, and also the integrated master's opportunity as well.
Great, yeah. So again, a different inspiration and a different motivation to come, or slightly different in some aspects around the fact that we host the St Andrews Foundation, and aspects around the Board of Catholic Education is situated and embedded in what we do here at the University of Glasgow. So again, anyone who wants to teach in a Catholic school has that real opportunity to really develop their skill sets and their knowledge within the programme, and we'll kind of talk about that later on as we move through today. But again, some really nice inspiration there around Catholic education, but also thinking about the wealth of opportunities in other clubs and societies that we have. So that's really interesting. Thank you, Jasmine. Madeline, why did you choose Glasgow?
So I chose Glasgow University because I love the city. I think it's so beautiful. The campus is amazing. I think there's so much to do and see, and so much to offer students, but also anyone, even if you're not looking for that kind of traditional student life. I think it's a great city to be in. But similar to Jasmine and Charlotte, I liked that it was a master's integrated course. That was a really big bonus for me. And also the fact that the St Andrews Foundation within the School of Education is kind of like the hub of Catholic education in Scotland. It's like going straight to the source. So I really, that's something I really enjoy about the course as well.
Great. Excellent. Thank you. And I think you're absolutely right, Madeline. We are so privileged to be sitting in the West End of Glasgow, right on the cusp of Kelvin Grove Park. So we get lots of outdoor learning opportunities, within there, and it's just such beautiful scenery. So we get to utilise the environment we're based in, but also just our campus is beautiful in terms of the history of the university. I think is really, really significant. So I'm really pleased that that's been something that's been an inspiration for you and a motivation for you to come and study with us. Thank you. That's really, really interesting. So we're kind of interested in terms of, with a teaching degree, it's not just academic study. There's elements of being out in placement, and you do placements in first to fourth year. So I was wondering how you split your time between classroom in terms of being in the placement, between classroom in terms of academic courses, but also how you split your time when you're on placement. So being in the classroom, out in placement, which is different to being in the university campus. So Manuel, do you want to maybe explain how you kind of split your time between the classroom and placement in first and second year? Do you want to maybe talk us through that?
Yeah, no worries. So for me, in first year, you're heavily based on the academic workforce. In first year at uni, you're learning about, you start off with the basics before you jump into placement. You've got to understand the theory behind each of the topics that are provided by the course, and it gives you the opportunity to enhance your teaching, and to really get in depth of what really is the course and what you're getting yourself into, rather than like this course, rather than they just jump you into placement. It's better to understand the behind the scenes before you start. So in first year, it is mostly academic. You do get into placement, but you have to learn the theory behind it first. And then as you progress on, in first year as well, you also do 1 week in a primary, I did a primary 2 to 3 class for 1 week, just for observation as like a starter course. So it's like the university is not just going to throw you into the deep end and just say, here you go, here's you being a teacher, and you just observe, see how the teachers work in a classroom, and what you've learned into theory, you're going to be putting into practice. And then in first year as well, you also do 2 weeks in nursery. So you see a different dynamics of how the development of the curriculum and what children are taught from such a young age onwards. And then when you progress on to second year, the things that you have learned will progress on. It'll get more in depth, and what you will have learned in first year, you will be taking forward to second year. So in second year, I've just finished my 5-week placement. So with that, I was able to use what I've learned in first year placement and be able to self-reflect and evaluate what went well and what could be improved on. But yeah.
Great, thank you very much. Madeline, do you maybe want to talk us through how you split your time between the classroom and placement within third and fourth year?
Yeah, definitely. So in third year, so firstly, what I would say is you're generally not having to do coursework at the same time as being on placement, because some other courses they do kind of like where you're some part of the week you spend at university and part of the week you spend on placement, but at Glasgow you do it in blocks. So in third year you have a 5-week teaching block in a school arranged by the university before Christmas, and then I think it's around Easter time you start up till about in just before the summer term ends. You go back to the same school for a different stage, and in fourth year you've worked up to do your longest placement, so that is a 12-week placement starting from January. So semester one's totally on campus. Semester 2 you do a placement, and then after that you have some assignments due.
Great, thank you very much. So I suppose thinking about then the balance between those blocks of placement rather than it being kind of interwoven all the way through. Charlotte, could you maybe tell us about how you keep on top of coursework while also kind of preparing and being on placement?
Yeah, definitely. So what I do personally, I know it's different for everyone. You need to find what works for you. But what I do is I just try and get everything done in advance. You know, there's nothing worse than coming in on a day and you're not ready for the afternoon. So I try and get things done at least a week in advance, and that means completely planned, resources sorted out, and having showed it to the class teacher as well, so that everybody's on the same page and you know you're not left stressed out the night before trying to do it all. And I also don't take anything home with me. I think it's really important to have a work-life balance. So I don't work on the weekends, I don't work in the evening. If I have to stay till 6 o'clock and do all my work in school, then that's what I try and do, because I think it's really important to have a split.
Yeah, especially for your own well-being, definitely. Jasmine, do you want to maybe share how you keep on top of coursework and things while in placement?
Yeah, of course. So very similar to Charlotte. When I'm on placement, I try and keep a day off where I don't do any work. That's usually a Sunday for me. So I try just to keep that work-life balance so I'm not sort of overworking myself or doing too much. So that's what I do practically. But on a day-to-day basis, I try and keep a to-do list of everything I need to do for the day, whether that's gathering resources or just gathering, just different things that I need for the day. So I try and have a daily to-do list. I also try and make sure that my lessons are organized in advance. Of course, as a teacher, you need to be flexible. Things change. You need to be ready for adaptability. But it's always good just to be over-prepared than under-prepared, and then you can sort of adjust things that need to be adjusted. So that's what I tend to do, and it tends to help me a lot while I'm on placement.
Great. And how do you prepare for placement? Is there anything that you do to help you to prepare when you're out in placement?
Well, I would say for lessons, usually when you start your placement, you wouldn't really have to prepare any lessons in advance of the placement, because you need to get to know your children and you need to know what you need to be able to teach. But what I do is I try and keep a getting to know me lesson ready. I think that's always a good thing to do on the first day. So you get to build those positive relationships with the kids early on. So I try to do that. Another practical thing is to call up the school, introduce yourself. They do know you're coming, but it's important to, make a good impression, introduce yourself, and ask any relevant questions, even if it sounds silly, about what should I wear, what's the dress code, and what time should I arrive on the first day. I think these things will be really helpful and ease your nerves when it comes to arriving on your first day of placement.
Great, thank you. Charlotte, have you got any advice for how you've prepared for placement?
I would say that I just do a bit of research into the school, look at their school ethos, their mottos, just to get a sense of the community that you're going into, maybe understand a bit of, how to fit yourself into that.
Great, thank you. Madeline, have you got advice for how you prepare for placements?
Yeah, definitely. I just practically, I usually try and take a wee visit to the school beforehand, even if I'm not going in, just to see where it is. Make sure I know what the parking situation is so that I'm not stressed out on the first day. Sometimes if you get a wee bit of notice about where you're going, you might have time to speak with the teacher beforehand or maybe even meet the class. So usually once I've done that, you might ask about what topics they're covering, and it might help to, if you know that they're looking at fractions and you're not super sure about how you would teach that, you might look into that a wee bit before going into that term. So that's usually what I do to prepare.
Great, that's fantastic. Thank you. Manuel, how do you prepare?
I think most of it's already been said, but for me as well, like I would, if you had a chance, I would go to the school in advance, maybe 1 week early, just to introduce yourself and that you're not familiarized with the environment, with the head teacher, with your class teacher, so that you're not walking in on the first day with nerves. You kind of get that out of the way. And also, when within placement, I'd say just be ahead of your work, especially when it comes to lesson plans. You always need to be on top of it. So I prepare myself by looking over the worksheet that needs to be done and start creating a to-do checklist. Now, if you're not like, if you're old-fashioned, you can write it on paper, but nowadays people do it online. So would normally use like a Google Calendar, and there's like a checklist to-do list, and you can always add stuff to it of like, okay, Monday I need to get lesson 1 done, I need to get lesson 2 done, and with that it just keeps you on top of everything. And since everyone's always on their phone, Google gives you like alerts of like checklists that needs to be done, so that way you're on top of things.
Great, thank you. They're really nice practical tips there in terms of organising yourself, which is a big thing for being on placement and organising yourself even for academic studies. So that's really, really helpful. So when people come to Glasgow University, we've already kind of touched on in some of the I suppose, motivations for coming to Glasgow around Catholic teacher education. So how can our future applicants consider how they qualify to teach in a Catholic school? So Jasmine, do you maybe want to tell us a wee bit about how you can qualify to teach in a Catholic school?
Yes, of course. So as we sort of already mentioned, the university has the St. Andrew's Foundation, and they deliver a program called the Catholic Teacher Certificate. And what that certificate gives you is that it allows you to teach RE in a Catholic school. So in our context, it allows us to teach RE in a primary school. And to get that certificate, the classes that you would have to attend are embedded in the course, like I said earlier. So from first right up until fourth year, you attend the class once a week, given by the priest, Father Charles, who's the chaplain of the St. Andrew's Foundation. And he delivers those classes, and it basically touches on different elements of the Catholic faith, like the sacraments, Catholic social teaching, virtues. So all things that you would need to have knowledge of as a Catholic teacher. So at the end of fourth year, you then get your certificate, and that certificate allows you to qualify as a Catholic teacher in a Catholic school and to teach RE.
Great, thank you. Madeline, do you have anything you want to add there?
Yeah, definitely. So what else is part of that as well? I do think the university prepares you really well to teach RE in a Catholic school, because not only do you have your weekly Catholic teacher formation class, you in first and second year, you take theology, which is really good for just getting your kind of general knowledge a wee bit more sound. Following that, you then take sorry, there's somebody stood next to me. Following that, you can specialise further in third year and fourth year in an elective. And then after that, and actually I think when you begin the course, you also need to take, you need to make sure that you've got a priest reference. So in order to start the Catholic teacher formation course, you need to have proof of that. And then whenever you're actually leaving university and beginning to either move into the teacher induction scheme or alternative route to teaching in a Catholic school, you need to again say that you've got church approval, basically.
That's great, thank you so much. So we've kind of touched on different elements in terms of placement, in terms of Catholic teaching. I suppose one of the big things that kind of builds up to a degree, and especially an integrated master's, is dissertation. So I suppose what is the kind of process of the dissertation project, and how did you maybe choose your project or kind of choose a topic for your dissertation? So I know Charlotte and Jasmine are both in 5th year, so they're currently working through a dissertation because we do that in year 5. So Charlotte, I wondered, could you tell us a wee bit about your dissertation project and how you chose your topic?
Yeah, so my dissertation is about the self-efficacy of teachers considering modern languages education. The reason I chose this was because, you know, modern languages is a full part of the curriculum, you know, you're required to teach it. However, I felt that there was a sort of gap in practice when it came to modern languages, either teachers not really knowing how to provide it, not understanding the policy, or, you know, just being scared to teach it. So I was wondering why that was. Is it something to do with initial teacher education? Is it continuing professional development? Or is it to do with their own experiences of learning it in schools? So I am doing an empirical study. So I'm going out into schools and gathering data from real teachers to put that towards my dissertation to sort of answer these questions that I have. Yeah.
Great, thank you. That's really interesting topic. So we'll be really interested to read that when it comes through in August. Fabulous. Jasmine, do you maybe want to kind of share your experience in terms of your dissertation project and why you chose that topic?
So my dissertation is looking at the ways in which technology can support EAL pupils in their learning. And my reason for choosing this topic was, particularly in my 3rd year placement, I went to a school that had a high population of EAL pupils. And I could see that for some teachers, it can be a bit of a struggle to know how to best support them in their learning. And so I thought that I'd really wanted to look into this area. And given that the fact we live in a very technological and digital age, I wanted to see if technology could maybe support their learning, because I feel like it's important for inclusion purposes to let these children be integrated into our mainstream classrooms. So sort of the process of how I sort of was discovering the topic is that in December, I looked at some articles related to the topic to try and see if there was enough literature to sort of write about the topic. And then I confirmed the topic in December, and then I started meeting with my supervisor. I'm still meeting with my supervisor to sort of refine that topic further. And he's very helpful in helping me guide how I'm writing about the topic. So, yeah.
Great, wonderful. And Jasmine, are you doing more of a kind of desk-based, kind of literature review type study, which is different to Charlotte?
Yes. So I'm doing a desk-based study, which basically means that I'm just looking at existing literature on the topic and trying to analyze it through a theory that I'm using.
Great. Yeah, so we have different options for dissertations in terms of empirical, where they're more related to the actions that are going on in classrooms at that time, and others that are more desk-based in terms of how do we utilise the evidence that's already there to inform our practice. So that's really interesting that we've got some real nice insights into both of those ways of tackling such a big piece of independent work. Madeleine, you're in 4th year and you're about to kind of move into thinking about dissertation. Have you got any ideas or thoughts about what your topic might be?
Yeah, absolutely. So in 4th year, you kind of get, it's not a proper dissertation, but it is beginning to move towards that upper honours level of study. So we do a practitioner inquiry called an action research. And for that, I chose to focus on inclusion in science education. But looking to the master's year, I haven't decided yet what I would like to do it on, but I've definitely got a few ideas. I think I'm kind of being prepared well to do it in something to do with Catholic education, because I've always chosen those electives. Also, I'm really interested in educational psychology that we've had basically the whole way through, so I might choose to do it on something that in that area as well.
Great, super, and you've got a bit of time to think about it still, so that's wonderful. Okay, so the final thing, I'm just mindful of our time here today. So really what I'm looking for now is, what advice do you have for any kind of future students in terms of thinking about their journey and what they might think about in terms of advice that you might give them in terms of engaging with this programme. Charlotte, do you maybe want to think about what your advice would be for future students?
Yeah, I think away from the course itself, I would just say it's really important to have a life throughout university, like get involved in a lot of societies, get involved if you're into like the Catholic teaching, go join the student chaplaincy and make yourself a part of university life, because for most people you only do get to come once, and it's a really privileged opportunity to have. So I think, you know, you've got to come here and make the most of it. You know, you'll make friends that you'll have forever, and also that helps take away some of the stress of the studying, because it is quite a full-on course that we do. There's a lot of time in placement. There's a lot of you know, essays that we have to write and studying we have to do. So I think it's important to, you know, use the support networks that are available to you at the university.
Still muted. Do you have any advice, Jasmine, for future students?
Yeah, so very similar to what Charlotte said, get involved with the wider university as well. That's the way I found how I'd made most of my friends at university, join clubs, societies, take advantage of being at university. I would also say as well, like with the course, enjoy what you're learning. I think it's very easy to like get caught up in, oh, I need to do this essay or write this assignment because I need to pass it, which is good. But I think actually take a step back and enjoy the theories and the learning that you're actually undertaking, because these things will really be beneficial to your practice and even for your general knowledge as a person. I've personally enjoyed 2 of my 5th year courses very much, so definitely take up the opportunity to actually enjoy what you're learning. I'd also say as well, ask lots of questions. Don't be afraid to, you know, reach out for help or ask anything, even if it sounds silly. Everyone's here to help you and everyone here is very supportive, so ask away.
Great, and I'm just thinking, because we've got Jasmine and Charlotte here who are about to embark on their teaching journey after graduation. So before we jump to Madeline and Manuel about their advice and their tips, what processes have you both started to engage with in terms of thinking about that teacher journey after graduation? So maybe we'll go to you first, Jasmine.
Yes, so at the end of my 4th year placement, I had to complete something called a GTCS profile. And that basically highlights your 3 areas of strengths and 3 areas for development going into probation that you could work on, and then your mentor, who you're assigned to during your probation year, can support you through that. So I had to do that at the end of 4th year. You also have to sort of so for probation year, you have the opportunity to sign up with the teacher induction scheme, which is funded by the Scottish Government. And that's a year where you go out to teach in a local authority in Scotland. And for us, that would be in the primary sector. And you have the opportunity to either choose anywhere, or you could choose 5 local authorities. So what I did is that I chose 5 local authorities that I wouldn't mind working in. And by the end of May, you would know what local authority you'd be placed in. So I've done those 2 things, but sort of more on a practical sense. I intend to get more experience in a school. So to go back to my old placement school and volunteer for a week. So I'm just sort of fresh into to understand what I need to do going into probation year. The other thing as well that I would say is that think about maybe how you'd like to design your classroom on a very practical level. So I've made a little account on Pinterest just to get ideas of things I'd like to do and resources that I would like to use in my own classroom as well. So those are sort of the things I've done to prepare for this August.
Great, fabulous. So yes, the teacher induction scheme is that 1 year, almost a 1 year placement where you're funded by the Scottish Government to go in and gain that full registration with the General Teaching Council for Scotland. So Charlotte, what's been maybe some of your kind of process so far in terms of preparing for moving into that in August?
Jasmine summed it up pretty well there. I've been doing, you know, all the same stuff, all of the profile, I've done that. And I've also been working in a school. So every Wednesday I work in the school that I was on placement for in 3rd year. And I found that it's been really helpful. I've also been speaking to other teachers that I know, asking for advice, and I've been trying to observe a lot of different classes in the school that I go to, just to see, obviously we've had a lot of placements, but you're only actually with 4 or 5 mentors throughout those placements. So I've been trying to just observe as many teaching styles as possible, see what techniques I want to pick up, and just get to know myself as a teacher even further. I've also been reading a bit about the first week of school, because I'm a little bit terrified, to be honest. So I've just been trying to prepare as much about how I'm going to establish, class rules and different schedules and stuff like that.
Great, fabulous. Yeah, it's a scary thing, isn't it, when you're then, you're out there and you are the teacher and not just the student teacher. Wonderful. So we'll pop back to Madeline and Manuel just to round us off today. In terms of, Madeline, what advice would you give for any future student considering the University of Glasgow?
Yeah, so I would say definitely the most important thing to do whilst you're on placement and whilst you're at the university is build connections. And I think that's you're kind of, as soon as you start university, you're kind of laying the groundwork for your career. So I've tried to take it really seriously, and I've tried to make really good connections and positive relationships in school. So I go back and visit and I volunteer. And similarly at the university, I've tried to get involved in as many things as I can, because there are so many amazing opportunities that we are given on this course. And part of those is, and it's something I've not seen other courses offer, is we are given lots of opportunities to travel. So in first year, I traveled to Spain, and I also traveled to the Holy Land. So that was Palestine and Israel. In second year, I went to, gosh, I can't even remember. I've been to Rome, I've been to London, and I'll be going to Boston in June as well, and all of that is through the university, and none of it would have been possible without the university. So if you like to travel and you want to get a broader experience from the course, that is definitely something that this course can offer, and it's been a really special thing that I've been able to share with my course mates as well, and I've made lots of great friendships from saying yes to all of these opportunities.
Great, wonderful. And it's really exciting to hear about all the travelling that you've been able to do as part of your study. That's great. Manuel, have you got a top tip for future students?
I would say, like, I still feel fresh into this course while I'm still in second year. So my advice as well would be not to, like, there's still things that you could still develop in terms of how you study or how you take approach into your studying. It can be different. As I said, between first year and second year, it's completely different. It's a big jump. So maybe in first year, you have some kind of system settled in first year, but in second year, it doesn't match, but it's up to you to adapt it. And as well as Charlotte, Jasmine, and Madeline said, take this opportunity as well to join clubs and talk to your peers, your classmates, because you're going to be with them for 5 years, and especially with placement as well. Well, I've finished placement, but I continue to do some volunteering, even if it's like 1 or 2 days in different classes, just to get some more experience and to get more familiar with the curriculum and what they're teaching from nursery all the way up to P7, so that when you start third year, fourth year, fifth year, as your placement extends longer, you still have this kind of attachment of what's going on in schools. So that way you're not starting fresh again. You still have got that teacher mindset.
Great, thank you very much. Well, that brings us to the end of today's question and answer session. I see there's a question from Michael in the chat around finishing their undergraduate programme at the moment and looking to apply perhaps for a master's programme. So you cannot apply for the integrated masters in teacher education, because that's a full integrated masters, which is a little bit like an undergraduate programme that leads into masters. But we do have a suite of masters programmes in terms of inclusive education, leadership, adult education. So we've got a range of different masters programmes that you can apply for through the university website. Again, so we'll pop a wee link into that for you so that you can have a wee look at the range of master's opportunities that we offer rather than the integrated master's pathway. So I hope you found that useful today. Thank you very much to our panel, and thank you everyone for being with us today. This and other recordings from today will be made available here and on our website over the next few days. So if you want to watch anything back and maybe come back to some of these top tips from the panel, you're very welcome to do so. To find out a bit more about studying at the University of Glasgow, again, in terms of maybe some of our master's opportunities or our undergraduate opportunities, you can visit our YouTube channel to view the programme overviews and student videos in relation to their experiences, and to connect with, our panel have already said that the connection is really important. So to connect with other students and to find out what it's like to study at Glasgow, you can chat online through the UniBuddy system that we've got. So thank you for joining us today, and we hope to welcome you onto our campus very soon.